Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And sometimes I like to go to Wendy's and order a Big Mac just to feel something. But last night we did a live stream, and while we were doing that, we also went in on the Albatross $10 burner knife. So we'll get this out of the way real fast. And if you didn't see this before, I reached out to Albatross and asked if they wanted to work with me, and they're like, yeah, sure. And they sent me some stuff, and included with that was a stack of these burner knives. And they're definitely cheap. They're not good, but it was interesting they decided to send me these to show you guys, but here we are. Now let's take a look at what we're holding because it'll bother you if I don't, and you know I spoil you. And first things first, and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. We have got these anodized aluminum scales. We got a flipper tab. Let's flick the bean. And we got 3 inches of unidentified steel with a pointless gut hook. So, I carried this for a week. It was fairly inoffensive. The gut hook was kind of annoying and useless. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Going in the pocket, this kind of got hung up on the hem a few times, but it was easy enough to avoid. Now, I thought this was all right until I did the first live stream session on the factory edge. Now, let's take a look at my notes here. And we started that session off with a 173 on the electronic tester, which wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible, but we went for around 22, 23 minutes, and it shot up to 603. And 479, a little bit further towards the tip, and a little bit further back, we got the 460, 470 range. But the most devastated spot pulled over 600. That is awful performance. On a factory edge that started that decent, that is awful performance. I tore this thing, not one, but 2 new ones on the back of that. Very, very disappointed with that. Assumed it was 3CR, and, well, I don't know what it is, But we put a brand new 18-degree edge on that and mirrored it out, because that's what 3CR seems to like. And I figured we'd give it a chance. We'd give it a chance at some redemption. And so we sharpened her down to a 128. All right, 128. And we went for about 30 minutes and got it down to a 323. After about an hour, it was 377, and then an hour and 40 minutes, it hit 514, and at that point, it stopped cutting cardboard worth a crap at all. It was tearing and rolling everything, just god-awful cuts, devastated edge. Now, the devastated edge number was lower than we normally get. Normally, that devastated edge is going to be up in the 600s, but that was an hour and 40 minutes of cutting on a brand new edge. And with 3CR, normally we see up over 2 hours and some change on a brand new edge. You put that 18-degree edge on there, you polish it up real good. They tend to last a bit longer than factory edges. Now, I have guys asking a lot why I don't count specific cuts instead of going by cut time, which is an interesting case because we counted that first 30 minutes or went back and did a good estimation of how many cuts we made in that first 30 minutes. 900. All right, I pulled the cardboard out of the box. I counted a couple of panels and averaged everything out across the number of panels we had. And 900's on the low side, but that's about 450 feet of cardboard. Those cuts average out to 6 inches, probably a little bit more, but conservatively, that's about 450 feet of cardboard. Now, the rate of cutting remains pretty consistent over the course of the time I spend cutting, and we keep track of the time actually spent putting the knife through. We don't count the times we stop for breaks or anything else. And we get about the same numbers on the same steels very consistently. D2 will go 4 hours without crapping out, and then it finally lets go at about the 4-hour mark with everything we've done except for the Ozark Trail dropout, which that was a weird one, and a couple of O-knives, which seem to have a little bit softer, gummier D2 steel. 8CR13 on a factory edge, 2.5 hours like clockwork. So that's why we go by cut time. It's impossible to count that many cuts, but you can imagine like an hour and 40 minutes, that was roughly, that would be roughly around 1,700 cuts, give or take. And, you divide that in half by, 6 inches worth of cutting, and you get somewhere around, let's see, not quite 1,000 feet of cardboard, but you get my drift. Math is not mathing good right now. I just woke up and my brain's not up to speed. But it did go through a lot of cardboard, and of course, a lot of guys doing these tests will go until they get just the first little snag on doing the paper cut, but I want to see what it takes to reach just a completely devastated edge. So that's how and why that works. I thought I'd share that. I get asked about it a lot. And the thing behind testing, any testing you do, you really need just consistent, repeatable results. All right, the cut time is pretty reliably repeatable. It's a consistent result. We can use that to gauge steels against each other. And now that we have some baselines, we can gauge whether or not a known steel is better or worse than another one. That's how we know the O knife is a bit softer than regular D2. So that's how all that works. But that hour and 40 minutes. Let me get my notes again, because we just also, we went in first on the cheapest axis lock on the planet, this mossy oak right here, and we got an hour and 45 minutes before we hit a devastated edge. These both did far worse than the Storm Pooper. We think the Storm Pooper's 3CR13, and I think these might be lower grade steels than 3CR13. They were very gummy and really grabbed onto the stones. They really didn't want they didn't want the stones to start feeling smooth on them till we got up into the higher grits, up over 400. So, yeah, weird case. I don't know what these steels are. I really don't. Maybe one of you guys knows if there is a lower grade steel than 3CR13. Like I said, normally, if memory serves, 3CR13 would go up a little bit over 2 hours on that brand new edge, sometimes 2.5. And it'll get to factory edge territory on 8CR13, kind of in that window. But I'm not sure. I don't know what the steel is, but at least it's a little bit of redemption for the Albatross here. It's still not great. It is still god-awful steel, and, it's got the useless gut hook on it. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but at the very least, it's a decent toolbox knife. This is definitely a strong candidate for abuse and abandon. I'd have no problems losing this or throwing it out if I had to. It's not great. And, Albatross makes great stuff. They make great stuff, especially their D2. Their D2 is on point. But these $10 burners, man, I didn't want to have to show you all these and do an appraisal of them just because I don't want to, bash Albatross that hard. If this was all Albatross made, dear God, I'd be having a field day on them. But they make some great stuff. It's just this is their bottom of the barrel offering. This is the worst stuff they make. So, the steel is kind of trash. The knife itself, the gut hook's useless. Outside of the gut hook, though, everything else is at least okay. The ergonomics were all right after my hand had been chewed to pieces right here by the Storm Pooper, followed by the Mossy Oak 2 nights in a row. The ergonomics on this were a welcome relief. The pressure from pushing down on those cuts really did have an impact on this, but it already hurt so bad it wasn't funny. Other than that, though, the ergonomics were pretty acceptable. So it's got the ergonomics going for it. It's got a pretty inoffensive design. It does work, but the steel is trash and the gut hook is completely unnecessary. And, of course, we sharpened it back up, and I tried to sharpen it on the Precision Adjust Elite. Now, again, the Elite is much, much slower. Because, first I tried to hand sharpen it. And I made the mistake I often make when hand sharpening. I didn't spend enough time on 220 grit hogging material off, which I tend to do that. So it'll take 2 tries sometimes. I felt what I thought was a burr, but it wasn't quite enough. So we broke the Precision Adjust Elite out, and we rocked that out. And of course, that Precision Adjust Elite is quite slow. It took a while to sharpen it, but we got it there. And at that point, that was the end of our night. We got the information we needed out of this, an hour and 40 minutes that thing performed below 3CR standards. If I remember right, it may have been right there with 3CR, but again, it's hard to tell when the steel's not identified. We have no idea what it is, so the knife's performance itself as a whole, kind of underwhelming. You can do a lot better for $10. You can, especially right now with Black Friday deals going on, you can find way better for $10. But at the very least, for $10, you get a fairly inoffensive knife that with just bad steel. Let's take a look at our edge now, because I know you guys always find that interesting after we got done sharpening it. And, like I said, I got to buy more test clips. I'm not out, but I got to buy more. And I'll tell you what really sucked is I dropped all of my test clips last night. I forgot to seal the bag up, and I grabbed it kind of upside down, and it dumped everything on the floor. I hope I got them all picked up. These things are a valuable resource, but that's besides the besides. It was unfortunate, and I didn't like doing that. I definitely uttered some profanities. 161. So it's up to a good edge now, and that's to be expected with either the Precision Adjusts. The Professional has been getting me better results than the Elite did, but the Elite still does great work. The Elite did a great job getting this thing sharpened back up. If you're on the hunt for a fixed angle sharpener and you are on any kind of a budget, the Elite is going to be your best option. It's $120, which is still a bit steep for a lot of people, but that is your best option for budget. I haven't seen anything else that competes with that, below that price. Even going down to $35, I haven't seen anything that can hold a candle to that Precision Adjust Elite. That Professional is just a different beast. But, that's kind of everything I can think of to say here before I'm holding y'all hostage. A few interesting things to cover. But yeah, let's flick the bean again. That's my thoughts on this thing. And again, just to recap, inoffensive knife, inoffensive carry, the gut hook is useless, and the steel is trash. That's about it. That's all I can say about this thing. A little bit of redemption for it. It did better on a new edge, predictably, but still not great. So, I love sharing with you what happened during Cardboard Slayer. That's what happened with this one. So, all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all keep coming in. I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We have things coming up. We got some giveaways coming up. I promise you. I just got to get some more stuff in. Thank you for being here. Comments. I love some feedback. Let me know what you think about all this. Spitball, I guess, at the steel. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.